Our top focus this morning is on the explosion that was reported at the Air Force base in Jammu. The NIA is now probing this terror attack. Initial investigations suggest that the attackers could have been operating drones from a close proximity from the attack site. The small quadcopters damaged the roof of the building, leaving 2 personnel with minor injuries. They are kept under observation currently. All the air bases have been put on high alert, keeping the possible security threat in view. The Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria, spoke to the 2 injured personnel as well on the phone. And Air Marshal Vikram Singh from the Western Air Command visited the blast site to take stock of the situation.
A major security nightmare in Jammu. India faces its first drone attack. Two IED payloads carried by a drone rocks Jammu Air Force Station with low-intensity explosions, leaving 2 personnel injured. The first blast took place at 1:37 a.m., while second explosion took place 5 minutes later at 1:42 a.m., causing minor damages. 2 suspects have been detained by the forces, while the National Investigation Agency is carrying out further probe. An FIR has been registered under sections of UAPA and Explosives Act. Cops tell India Today that the drones were operated from near the air base. Intel sources reveal that the valley was already alerted about a possible drone strike on June 24th.
Definitely, I think we need to be alert on this aspect of the drone, and the security and protection of the sensitive areas installation is very important.
After the attack, IG Kashmir chaired an urgent meeting with the NSG, Indian Air Force and CRPF officers. After the meet, Ambala, Pathankot and Avantipora Air Force stations, Srinagar and Srinagar Technical Airport have been put on high alert. Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria and Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh are closely monitoring the situation.
J&K police has confirmed that a Lashkar terrorist has been arrested and huge cache of arms and ammunition has been recovered from him, and it's believed that this terrorist was planning to carry out major terror attacks at crowded places in Jammu. So a major terror plot has been averted, has been thwarted by the Jammu police. And as far as this case is concerned, the twin blasts at the Air Force Station, probe is on, matter is being investigated, but what is coming out from the preliminary investigation is that a drone has been used to carry out the twin blast inside the Air Force Station. With video journalist Neeraj Kumar, this is Sunil Bhatt reporting from Jammu for India Today.
Meanwhile, a lot of reactions also pouring in over the blasts at the Jammu Air Base. There have been, in fact, leaders from the opposition questioning the Prime Minister, like AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi, who took a shot at Prime Minister Modi in a series of tweets, saying that the attack needs to be treated as a cross-border act of war, like Pulwama, and that India must respond in kind. He further questioned Prime Minister Modi, asking whether he will take any action against the attackers, or if the Prime Minister will continue to involve other nations in talks with Pakistan. Owaisi further went on to question the lapses in security at the airbase. And this morning, let's also get you the latest updates on the unlock process that's underway as COVID cases are coming down. Delhi's lifted more curbs because of the COVID tally continuing to show a downward decline in the national capital, which means that from today, the government has now allowed gyms, yoga centers, private offices to operate with 50% capacity. Weddings in banquet halls will be allowed now with 50 guests. Only 20 guests will be allowed for home and court marriages. Bars and restaurants will be allowed to open till 10 p.m. with 50% seating capacity, while malls and markets will be open between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Public transport services like metros, buses, they've been operating for the last few weeks. That will continue with 50% capacity. Delhi reported 89 new cases with 4 deaths on Sunday. That takes the state's active caseload to 1,568.
Yes. For people who are vaccinated, we have certain discounts. Somebody who's got the first dose, there is certain discount. Somebody who's got both the doses, we have got a certain special discount, and they're also being given preference when they're booking their slots in the gym. So definitely we have a very special place for people who are vaccinated.
With 85 cases recorded on Saturday, the national capital witnessed the lowest single-day spike in COVID cases. Delhi government has now decided to give more relaxations. From Monday, gyms, yoga centers will be allowed to function with 50% capacity.
We have created a slot-based system where a certain number of people are only allowed to enter into the gym at a specific time. And they're only allowed to work out for 45 minutes, 15 minutes for change, and they can go back. So 60-minute slots are given to people who want to come for a workout.
Marriage halls, banquet halls and hotels have been allowed to hold wedding ceremonies with maximum of 50 persons. The positivity rate in Delhi has dipped to 0.12%. However, cinema, theatres, spas, schools, colleges and educational institutes will continue to remain closed in Delhi. Swimming pools, entertainment and amusement parks have yet not been allowed to open. Amid dipping COVID cases, Delhi has been slowly unlocking. But Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has warned that national capital will enter into relock mode again if there is a surge in cases.
Despite all these easing in the restrictions, the social distancing, masking is going to be mandatory all the time in the public places. As we know, the third wave is now awaiting. The government doesn't want to take any chance, and so should the people. But for now, in the national capital with Ritesh, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
Now, as COVID cases decline, the positivity rate is dropping, and that's why the state of Tamil Nadu has lifted COVID restrictions further. Lockdown will officially stay in place till July 5th. In Chennai, as well as neighbouring districts, clothing and jewellery shops will be allowed to function without air conditioning to ensure that there is a lot of spread in air. With 50% of capacity is in fact the norm. Malls can function between 9 AM and 7 PM adhering to COVID protocols. No permission has been granted at this point for cinema halls or for gaming centres. Only takeaways are allowed from restaurants. You cannot dine in. All places of worship can function. However, offering special prayers, any sort of religious massive events will not be allowed. All private offices are allowed to operate with a 100% workforce. Tamil Nadu, meanwhile, continues to register a steady decline in daily COVID cases. It's reported over 5,000 cases in the last 24 hours with 91 casualties. Now, in May 2021, the Health Ministry estimated 216 crore vaccine doses are likely to be produced between August to December. Now, in June, in an affidavit that's been filed before the Supreme Court, the government has reduced that particular estimate. They said that only 135 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccines will be available by December this year. That's a staggering difference of 81 crore doses.
दिसंबर तक 216 करोड़ डोसेस यानी 108 करोड़ लोगों का वैक्सीनेशन कैसे होगा इसका पूरा खाका दिया है.
These are the words of the Union Minister Prakash Javadekar from May 2021. He claimed every adult person in India will be vaccinated by December 2021. And 216 crore doses will be available by the end of this year. It's June 2021 now, not even a month since the historic statement. The central government has now changed its stance. Modi government told Supreme Court that only 135 crore doses will be available between August and December 2021. The central government has drastically reduced its vaccine estimation by over 20%. The government projected the new availability of COVID vaccines in an affidavit filed before the Supreme Court. The difference is a staggering 81 crore doses. Bharat Biotech nasal vaccine, Genova Biopharma and Novavax manufactured vaccines that are no longer on the new list. The government said in its affidavit that the population of the country aged 18 years and above is 93 to 95 crores approximately. And to fully vaccinate all the beneficiaries, India requires 186 to 188 crore vaccine doses. With these depleting numbers, will Centre be able to vaccinate everyone by December 2021? With Anisha Mathur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, education has come to a halt in Kerala's Wayanad. The reason is poor net connectivity and zero access to smartphones. Children had made a makeshift shed on hills to get proper internet connectivity, but wild animals pose a huge threat to them. Gopi Krishnanithan gets you this ground report from Wayanad.
Kerala's investment in education has ensured a higher literacy rate and easy access to quality education. But the deadly pandemic has disrupted that. Here's a reality check on how children are coping with the shift to online platforms. Over 74% of Wayanad's land is classified as a forest. And it poses a great challenge when it comes to internet connectivity.
The COVID-19 pandemic has forced schools and other educational institutions to go online. However, not all students are privileged enough to attend these classes within the comfort of their own houses. For example, these children have chosen to sit on the roadside on top of a bridge due to internet connectivity issues at their respective houses.
As India Today travelled through the forest route from Tirunelli to Panavalli, young children were sitting on the roadside on top of a bridge. Why? Because to attend the classes online, these students have no option but to find a spot with proper internet connectivity. Meet Anushri. She's in third year of her BA and has been struggling to attend online classes.
COVID വന്ന മുതൽ ഓൺലൈൻ ക്ലാസ് തന്നെയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ റേഞ്ചിന്റെ വലിയ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ക്ലാസ്സുകളിൽ ഇടയ്ക്ക് സ്കിപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് ഇറങ്ങേണ്ട അവസ്ഥയാണ്. ക്ലാസ് കിട്ടാണ്ട് ഒരു ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. ഇവിടെ വന്നിരുന്ന് പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ കുറച്ച് ലേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പോകുന്നത്, പിന്നെ മഴയൊക്കെ ആവുമ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെതായ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് വന്നിരുന്ന് പഠിക്കേണ്ട അവസ്ഥയാണ്.
Abhishek's story is no different. He's in the 10th standard and has missed a lot of classes due to poor connectivity.
പ്രാവശ്യം പിന്നെ ഫോണ് ചെല്ലായിരുന്നു, അതുകൊണ്ട് ടി വിയിൽ മാത്രമായതുകൊണ്ട് കുഴപ്പമില്ലായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്രാവശ്യം മാറ്റിയത് കൊണ്ട് ഫോണിലേക്ക് ആയതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ പ്രശ്നം. റേഞ്ച് ഇല്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ വന്നിരിക്കുക.
നോട്ട്സ് ഒക്കെ എഴുതാൻ പറ്റുമോ കറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട്?
ഇല്ല, അതെല്ലാം വീട്ടിൽ പോയി ഇരുന്നിട്ടാണ് എഴുതുക. എല്ലാം ഇവിടുന്ന് എടുത്തു വെക്കും, എന്നിട്ട് വീട്ടിൽ പോയി എഴുതും.
A little further from the bridge, on the other side of the mountain, the situation is even worse. Every day, over 20 students climb up the steep mountain in search of internet connectivity. The students have created a makeshift shed with wooden sticks and polythene sheets to make their lives a little easier.
My house is far down there, so I have to climb a lot of distance, about 500 meters or 1 kilometer, and I have to come here. So I will come in the morning, and if battery charge is gone, I have to go back and recharge. Then I have to come back. It's very difficult. Then about 3 times a day we climb and go down.
ഇവിടെ എന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ റേഞ്ച് ഇല്ല. തേർഡ് ഇയറിൽ എനിക്ക് പകുതി മുക്കാൽ ക്ലാസ് മിസ്സായിട്ടുണ്ട്. പല ക്ലാസ്സുകളും എനിക്ക് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയിട്ടില്ല. എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. ആ താഴെ ഇവിടെ കയറി വരണമെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് ഏകദേശം ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റോളം ഞാൻ എടുക്കും. എന്നാലും ഞാൻ ഓടിക്കത്തിച്ചാണ് ഇവിടെ വരും. അപ്പോഴേക്കും ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങിയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. കാരണം എനിക്ക് നേരത്തെ സമയം അറിയാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഞാനിവിടെ എത്തുമ്പോഴേക്കും എനിക്ക് നേരത്തെ ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങി അറ്റൻഡൻസ് എടുത്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടായിരിക്കും ഞാൻ വരിക.
1 2 3
Elders take turn to accompany children here because the spot is often visited by wild animals. Although government and other organizations have been actively promoting initiatives to provide gadgets to children, but coronavirus has exposed the great digital divide.
These children brave the wildlife, weather and difficult terrain to ensure they do not miss out even on a single class. The question, however, is how far can the administration step in to bridge this digital divide? With camera person Tinku Rajshekaran, Gopikrishnan in Wayanad for India.
Now, former Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy has now urged the Pinarayi Vijayan government in Kerala not to change Kannada names of villages to Malayalam. In a series of tweets, former Chief Minister Kumaraswamy said that he is aware that the Kerala government is resorting to changing the names of some villages which are in Kannada to Malayalam. This is happening in the district of Kasaragod, according to HDK. Kumaraswamy also added that Kasaragod has remained a symbol of linguistic harmony and coexistence. He added that though Kannada and Malayalam-speaking people are in equal numbers in Kasaragod, they're living in a harmonious manner. They've never quarrelled over language issue, and there should be no attempts to create a problem. The Karnataka Border Area Development Authority has also written now to the Kerala Public Works Department for renaming Kasaragod villages, saying it would destroy Kannada and Tulu culture that's existed for a long time in areas of Kerala. Less than a month to go for the 2021 Olympics to begin, but a part of the Japanese population is still not convinced that the Games can actually be held safely amid a pandemic. There are protests now being held in different parts of Tokyo. Here's a ground report.
Less than a month left for the Olympics to begin. But Japanese citizens are not convinced that the Games can be held safely during a pandemic. Protests are being held in different parts of Tokyo, from major metro stations to famous public spots in the capital. There were demonstrations even in the front of the Tokyo Metropolitan Building and the headquarters of the organizing committee for the Olympic Games. The protests gained steam when 2 Ugandan nationals tested positive after landing in Japan just a few days back.
Less than a month left for the Tokyo Olympics to begin, but a part of the Japanese population is still not convinced that the Olympics can be held safely, especially after 2 of the Ugandan athletes were tested positive after landing in Japan. They believe that the Olympics can spread the virus furthermore, including some of the variants that are more contagious.
The protesters are worried that with so many people coming in from different parts of the world, it will increase the risk of spreading the virus further.
東京オリンピックは反対です。今感染者が増えてます。もしオリンピックが開催されれば、どんどん感染者が増えて、重症者の数、あと亡くなる人も出てきます。ですからオリンピックは反対です。
Many argue that the amount of money that is being allocated to a sporting event could have been used better during a pandemic for healthcare or COVID relief funds.
We never give up to stop this Olympic machine to save our life and livelihood and our society.
The other major concern is the vaccination drive. Though the pace is picking up in Japan, only around 8% of the total population are fully vaccinated as of now. The protesters feel that the games are being prioritized over public health.
政府は優先する順位を間違ってますね。オリンピックで商売をする人を助けるのよりも、日本に住む人々の健康安全を守るべきだと思います。
The No Olympic 2020 campaign has also gained steam on social media. Tweets and posts have backed those calling for the cancellation of the Games in Japan. But the organizers believe that the Games can be held safely with proper measures and precautions. Protesters, though, argue that the bubble can be very easily broken and the locals might end up paying the price for the Games. With Paulami Burman in Tokyo, Bureau Report, India Today.
And that's all we have time for in this edition of First Up. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and a great week ahead. And remember that the news and updates continue right here on India Today. I'll be back in just a bit.